Welcome to the Loyal Opposition Podcast. I'm Bernie Flowers, one of Uncle Sam's wayward sons. I'm here to help you sort through the chaos and keep it real for America's middle class. So, if you're into protecting freedom, if you're into giving bad policy a well-deserved roast, if you're into making sure our nation stays on track, well, hit that like button, hit that share button, and hit that subscribe button. So, with all that said, let's dive in. Our buddy Shane Hubbard is with us today. He's been a long-haul trucker for over 30 years. He's seen this country from both sides of the coast and everything in between. He's one of these people that make America go. Along with him is my good old battle buddy, Colonel Vincent Crabb, United States Army, retired. Vince always has something important to say, and I figure that if we're going to get together and talk about the affairs of state and the things that are going on in the nation, you guys might want to hear that. So, with that said, Shane, where are you today?
I'm at Tucson, Arizona at the Triple T, Tucson Truck Terminal. A lot of old truck drivers know what this place is.
I love it. What's the temperature out there? How's the weather?
60 degrees and sunny.
Woo! I could use some of that up here in Maryland. Vince, how you doing?
We're doing good. I'm down here in Texas and about 40 degrees, but here in a few days it's supposed to be like 17 degrees here, and I think the high during the day is going to be in the 20s, so we're going to have about 4 or 5 days of that. So in Texas, we're not really used to that, but we'll make it work for a few days, I guess.
Well, you got a bad habit of making everything work. I remember when we were over in the desert and it was 120 degrees outside and we still had to operate, but that's another story for another time. Well, I'll tell you what, we got a lot to talk about. I want to start off with these LA fires. I mean, doggone. I mean, they couldn't have made this thing any worse if they'd have tried. Good Lord. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, how could they have stopped this thing from being so doggone terrible?
I don't think it was meant to be stopped, man. From what I understand, they wanted that land, Bernie. Same thing that went on in North Carolina with that mine over there. They wanted that land because they're building a smart city over there. They said Newsom was in on it. And from what I understand, yesterday, the day before, said somebody in L.A. said, well, when we started this fire, he said he came back and reneged on that statement a day after and stuff, but it looks like a nuclear bomb went off out there, man.
You were out there just a little bit ago, weren't you?
Yeah, but I was down in Santa Fe Springs and south of downtown. All that's north of downtown where that happened at, and you couldn't smell no smoke or anything down there. And stuff, but man, I mean, 1,200 homes knocked out, man, and stuff, and from what I understand, all the insurance companies canceled their policy a month before that happened.
Man.
Come on, man. This, if people don't see this, how can you not see it?
That sounds crazy. I tell you, man, I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. It don't look good to me.
Yeah, like, how do you cancel somebody's insurance a month before a major fire happens? They said all the insurances were canceled or something. Well, did y'all hear that?
Yeah, I heard about it. Well, Vince, you started off your career as a fireman, as I remember. Am I correct?
I was a fireman out of the city of Arlington. I've been a cop, I've been a fireman, a soldier. And a couple of things on this fire. This fire in L.A., it sort of looks like the fire they had in Hawaii.
And what you're trying to say there, bro?
You actually pay attention. They had people all the way down to the water and vehicles that was burned to a crisp.
Yeah.
How can you have that much heat in such a quick time? And I can tell you what I know from the military side, we have lasers that can do that. I'm not saying they use the laser there. I'm just saying that was pretty hot when you got the whole ocean sitting right there, which is, last I checked, was water. And when you're in fire, your ammunition is water. Okay, so this DEI thing we all talk about, some of your listeners might not like this part, but you know what? It is what it is. the top 3 to 4 people that's in charge of this stuff don't have a problem with females. But what I do have a problem is they're all gay. Don't have a problem with gay people. I got a lot of people that today that are friends of mine that are gay. I don't have a problem with gay. Here's what I got a problem with. Can you do the job? Were you hired because you can do the job, or was you hired because you're a female lesbian? That's what I got a problem with. And what it's looking like, the California folks are doing a lot of DEI hiring, from the mayor to the top 3 in the fire department. They're making $400,000 to $500,000 a year. And oh, by the way, the one that's in charge of the reservoirs, and a lot of people don't know about the reservoirs are nothing than just a hole in the ground that they went in there and stuck a bunch of really thick plastic, kind of like a swimming pool. Well, these things are there for this time of year, meaning fire time. There's times of the year, California is heavy in fires. Okay. So when they were questioned about these reservoirs being empty, the lady that was in charge of this said, well, we had to pull maintenance on it. Some of them had leaks in them. They had cracks. Well, think about it. I just told you that these are nothing more than thick pieces of rubber that's put down, sealed up, then you put water in it. Now that water's there, so when we do have these fires like we just had, we got a lot of ammunition / water. Okay, so why in the world would you drain 3 very, very large reservoirs in the height of fire season in California? 110% makes no sense to me. Okay, speaking from a fireman standpoint. Okay, again, you're right there, you're butted up against the ocean. And so somebody said, well, can you use salt water to put out fire? Yeah, you can. And so why would you not take a pump down there, throw a hose in that ocean, and start feeding water up? Even if you do have reservoirs that are empty, we have a whole lot of equipment, fire equipment, or not, just industrial equipment that pumps very large volumes of water. So somebody dropped the ball, probably didn't know what they were doing.
You can say that again.
Vince, they've got airplanes out there that fly over the ocean and scoop water and stuff, that pick big, like thousands of gallons of water up at one time. And stuff. I know this because they talked about it a while back. Years ago, they had a fire, and they had found a guy in a house in a scuba diving gear with his tank and everything. They had grabbed him out of the ocean and dropped him in a burning house.
Oh my goodness!
And stuff was like, man, yeah, but they've been doing that for years, and they're literally right next to the ocean where that fire happened at.
Yeah, it's funny,
So that's why I gotta wonder why they did that. I'm telling you, it just almost sounded like something was, they didn't want to assist anybody, as they were told to stand down or something, man.
You're bringing up some stuff, but let's go back to this DEI stuff. Now, I got a chart in front of me. Let's see. The fire chief, Christina Crowley, $439,722 is her salary for being a fire chief, a public servant. Fire, let's see. Fire.
She makes more than a congressman.
She makes more. Yeah, she sure does. Christine Larson, Equity Bureau Chief, Los Angeles Fire Department, $399,000. Not even a fireman. Her job is diversity, equity, and inclusion. $400,000. I'd love to have that kind of gig. Then the assistant fire chief, Christina Kepner, $264,468. How about that? Were we making that kind of money?
I bet they still live in the hood at that kind of money, at the price of living in California and stuff. They still live in South Central, probably.
I don't know about all that. I know when we were getting shot at in Iraq, we weren't making that kind of money, Vince, were we?
No, we were protecting the nation, and we were eating MREs and being shot at on a daily basis and running from RPGs. But they patted us on the back and said, well, you did a good job. Here's a medal. Happy.
I don't need no medals.
I don't need a medal. But I'll tell you what, though, Make me the fire chief of LA and see what happens. Let me tell you something. Had a little conversation with some boys over at the VA the other day. I kind of got a little group. When I go to the VA, we talk.
Mm-hmm.
I said, all right, let's think about it from a strategical level. Let's think about pre-planning. Let's go back to what Shane said. Shane said those vehicles, aircraft, airframes, they go in, they pick up a lot of water, and they do. Well, if you'll watch where they're dropping the water, they're dropping the water right on top of the fire. They're over there squirting water on the buildings that are fully involved that are already gone anyway. Why are you doing that? That needs to stop. Again, if you think that's the thing to do, you're wrong. You get in front of the fire. It's kind of like being in combat. If somebody's already got a piece of the geographical map taken, well, you get in front of that and stop them as they come in. Well, same thing with the fire. If the fire's coming, you don't start dropping that water. Do you realize how hot that was? If you'll watch the fire, watch when they drop water, what happens. You're going to see a really big puff of white. Well, what that white is steam. It's not putting out anything. So you get in front of this thing. You get 2 or 3 miles, 5 miles in front of this thing, and you put up a perimeter, water, foam, the retardant that you can drop, that red retardant they drop out. You get in front of that. And here's the other thing. Everybody, well, it just came so fast. You knew for 3 to 4 or 5 days this thing was coming. But you let it burn up all these, and I got it. These are, $25 million homes, and a lot of these people are going, what the heck happened? Well, you had no water in your hydrants. Your reservoirs had been drained in the name of maintenance. Hey, moron, you do not send a bunch of soldiers into war with empty guns. You don't send firemen into the fire with no water in their hose. Have you lost your damned mind?
But they couldn't even get water. The water pressure was down out there in their pumps and all that. The homes, the water pressure was down. So I'm sure the fire hydrants, the water pressure was down. So they couldn't even hook up to that. There was no water pressure there.
Well, Shane, you said something earlier about the fact that these insurance companies just magically stopped insuring people about 6 months before.
No, it was a month before. 1 month before, they canceled their insurance policies. Almost everybody out there.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. And, I think the same thing happened in Hawaii as well, when they had the big fires out there. So, yeah, it seems a little weird. But, hey, let's move on to something else.
Let's talk about try that in Texas.
No, that ain't gonna work in Texas. You can best be assured of that. But let's talk about these confirmation hearings. Have y'all been watching that?
Well, I'm concerned about it, man, because I'm gonna tell you, man, why I've been hearing a lot of he's putting people in offices that don't have any experience in that office, and I'm hoping he's making a good decision because as we all know, we all voted for him. I mean, we stood behind him strong, so please make a good decision when you're putting people in there, That's what I'm concerned about right there. I'm not concerned about the EPA, but the Secretary of Treasury and stuff like that, that's our money right there. We need somebody who knows what they're doing, Well,
what about you, Vince? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the experience thing. We need that. And like, for example, the guy that's in transportation today, the gay guy, nothing against gay again, but he had no experience. He was a naval, some type of administrative naval officer. I don't know what he did. But he had nothing to do with transportation. And oh, by the way, for the last 4 years, he had nothing to do with transportation. He didn't know about truck driving. He didn't know about railroads. He didn't know about flight frames and, and the things that the controllers go through setting up in those towers. He knew nothing about this stuff, but he was gay. He was another DEI hire. Make no mistake about it. That's why he was hired. So
like that DEI is everywhere.
The administration today, the whole administration is nothing but a big DEI is all it is. Think about what you got in there. Again, I don't care. I don't care if you're white, black, purple, pink. I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you want to wear a dress. My question to you, if I'm going to hire you, can you do this job? And I'm going to throw some scenarios at you, and I want you to tell me what you would do about that. And if you meet the scenario question, then you have a shot at getting this job. But if you're telling me, for example, Mr. Transportation Secretary, do you think the railroads out there are doing okay? You think the highways are doing okay? You think maybe we should spend some money on some of these bridges that our tractor trailers run up and down on? I said I would say we need to start spending money. And those regulations, like, Shane, he's been doing that for 30 years. He can probably talk about this a little bit, that the regulations on these truckers is crazy. They're out there, literally, they're the backbone of our nation. You let them truckers across our nation, and I'm talking every one of them, if every one of them shut down to 3 to 4 days, our nation would crumble. They would crumble. But he does nothing about none of that. He don't look at the railroads. He doesn't look at the roads. He doesn't look at the bridges. He doesn't look at the regulations that our truck drivers go by. And some of the regulations are absolutely crazy. Here I am. I had a CDL for years.
What's a CDL?
Tell him, Shane.
Commercial driver's license, or can't do lumping. That's what we tell them when they say, you need to unload. I can't do lumping.
Uh-oh. Well, let's talk some more about that. Shane, what do you think about all this transportation stuff, being that you're totally in the business?
Well, I think that you should have some serious insight and knowledge of what's going on in this industry if you're going to be ahead of it. Mm-hmm. Even just a safety guy that works for us, man, you'd be surprised at stuff that they know more than me. Yeah. Man, the books that they have to read and the knowledge that they have to, learn, it's a lot. I seen old James, man, my old safety director at a company I worked for. Man, when they started all this CSA stuff, he had books in there this thick. He was like, oh God, I got to learn all this stuff. And them guys, now that's just transportation trucking. Mm-hmm. National safety or safety transportation guy has got to know railroad, airlines. He's got to know trucking. He's got to know all the laws. And I understand there's going to have people working for him that's going to help them update them on stuff, but you got to have some knowledge about what's going on in this.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Vince, let me ask you, let's move on to Pete Hegseth, their nominee for Secretary of Defense, being 40 years in the in DOD, you might have an opinion. What do you think?
Well, Pete, he is a combat guy. He was infantry. He got out as I believe, a lieutenant colonel. And, but, Pete's biggest challenge was, can he do the job? If that's what you're asking me, yeah, he can do the job. He's a little bit young. He maybe some experience, but his key, and hopefully he knows, and I think he does, that he got to have to surround himself with people, and I think a little more senior, and that's been there and done it kind of guy. I've done 4 tours at the Pentagon, and I know you've done some tours at the Pentagon. Well, at the Pentagon, if you're a staff officer. What people don't understand, that's a monkey. That's a monkey you don't want to get on, because you are working. You are beat up on a daily basis about the documents that you got to review, the documents that you'll be writing, the people you're going to be briefing, from the Secretary of Defense to the 4 stars, the 3 stars, the Senate, the Congress. You just get beat up. Okay, well, and I don't believe he's done any Pentagon time, and until he gets in there. However, can he do the job? Pete's a smart guy. He does have combat time, real combat time, and what they're pushing back on, because he flat said he didn't think there should be women in combat. And quite frankly, we've been doing this for a long time. We America, we've been at the safety business of our nation for quite a few years. Here's the deal. Women can go through infantry school. They've got some women that's gone through Ranger school, but the women they interviewed that went through Ranger school, there was a captain they interviewed, and she flat said, yeah, I made it through Ranger school, but there were certain parts of the school that was adapted for us females. She goes, I've got a tab now. I made it through the school. She goes, but I was on display because they wanted to make sure us females made it through, since we were the first ones to go through. She goes, but make no mistake about it, I am not a Ranger. not like a male that, is with the 82nd, with the 75th Ranger Regiment. She goes, I'm not that, but I do have a tab. I made it through the school. So when you get down range in true combat, what Pete's talking about, we men, we want to protect our female. Like them, don't like them. Bottom line is, it's just in us to do that. Well, here's the problem. If I'm having to protect you and look for you all the time, that makes me kind of be put in danger myself, because now I'm trying to protect myself and you too. That's kind of like when I was in, when I got the Sheriff of Baghdad title. I had a female reporter with me, and we had a male that carried the camera. I've got to babysit these people, and I pushed back on it for a little bit, but I finally let her go with me. But I got to babysit these people, either me or one of my other soldiers. Well, the same thing with these females. Are they tough? Yeah, I mean, some of your female listeners may go, "Oh my God, he's saying that we can't do the job." I'm just saying, they're logistically. I mean, let's throw it out there on the table. There's different needs that a female's going to have during combat, like real combat. And the way we were living, kind of like you're a homeless guy. I mean, you're out there in the elements. And so there's going to be things and the needs of a lady that's just going to be difficult, and then I've got to protect you. Like I told that lady, I said, we get in combat, a firefight, and we will be in a firefight. Within 30 minutes, when we left the wire that day, when I agreed to take them, we was in a hellacious firefight. I said, you put your hand literally inside my belt and hold on. And she did. And but I had to protect them. See what I'm saying? So same thing with our females, and we got some tough soldiers. Make no mistake about it. We have some very tough female soldiers, but they're good, like in the military intelligence analysts, and females are great with organizational skills, and we men are better at operational type stuff. And when it comes to sometimes in combat, you have to make some pretty tough choices. And I mean, you can make the choice and take a life or not. And so we men, we think differently. Women are very maternal. They think with emotions more than we do. And so sometimes there's things that happen that they're just not going to be comfortable with. And so that's what he's talking about. So that's why he's getting pushed back. But do I think he can do the job? He can do the job. He'll be fine. He just needs to surround himself with some seniors, some people with a lot of experience, and he'll be just fine.
How about some people with a little gray hair?
Well, that'd work. Yeah, I'd love to be his deputy. I would be his deputy, because a lot of his generals that he's going to be working with, I worked with them, or they worked for me at one point.
There you go.
Down to my nephew that graduated, which is Shane's son. He's at the 82nd now. His commanding general there, he actually worked for me at the Pentagon. And that's what I'm saying. If I was his deputy, I'd probably be sitting at the table with a lot of these guys that I've either worked with, know, or has worked for me. So, and it brings a different credibility. You see what I'm saying? Like you said, okay, my gray hair, yeah, and my age, and like you said, you was somewhere at some conference, some place that somebody mentioned the Sheriff of Baghdad, and then you made, yeah, that's my battle buddy. No, you don't know him personally. But no, actually, I'm telling you the truth. That's my battle buddy. Shane at some truck stop somewhere, and somebody said something about the Sheriff of Baghdad, and Shane's like, yeah, that's my cousin. He's like, that ain't your cousin. He goes, yeah, it is my cousin. So people don't believe that, but it brings a credibility, not Vince Crabb, but the title, the Sheriff of Baghdad, that guy. And so with Pete, he's going to need some of that, whether it be me or somebody, with him to help him get kind of over the hump a little bit, get some credibility himself. But if you watched him on the confirmation, he held his own verbally. He did well. And then, of course, they want to attack him about some of the other stuff, in the civilian world. And here's the deal. And some of those things that they wanted to talk about, quite frankly, most every senator or congressman up there is doing it already. And that guy from Oklahoma brought that up the other day. He goes, I know for a fact, majority of you guys been in here voting when you're drinking. You're having affairs while you're up here, male and female. but you're going to drag this guy over the coals in front of his wife? He goes, shame on you.
Yeah.
Shame on you. He goes,
yeah, don't try to push morality when this country has been immoral, man. The immorality in this country has been horrible, especially in that northeast corner, man. The way they do things, it's not for the people, it's for them. You know, they make a lot of decisions for themselves, not for the country.
Shane, I'm glad you brought that up because the next question is Joe Biden's legacy. What do y'all see as his legacy, taking into account that we had a global pandemic on his watch and we had record-setting inflation on his watch and we had the withdrawal from Afghanistan on his watch and we also had an open border on his watch? I could go through this all day, but what do you think his legacy will be?
Did you see him last night trying to get that last "I did it" with the peace treaty and stuff, man? You know,
unfortunately,
the only reason why that peace treaty, and I'm gonna tell you, the only reason why the peace treaty is happening and it's transpired in the last week or two, because if you don't remember, a week or two ago, Trump said it better be over when I take office or else. He said that. Hamas knows that he's not playing, dude. He's not somebody who says cross this line, cross this line, cross this line. He said, if you get close to this line, we got some things that's going to make you rethink that. You know, he's like Ronald Reagan back in the day. You know, when Reagan says something, he meant it. Gaddafi found out. You didn't hear from Gaddafi till Obama was in office, man. And guess what happened to him? He was dead, 60 days?
Didn't take long. Vince, what do you think?
His legacy. First off, they talk about that warp speed. That was a Trump did that. Trump did the warp speed, but they took credit for it.
Mm-hmm.
The withdrawal out of Afghanistan. My last job as a director, I'm a full bird colonel, 06, retired. But my last job, for you military folks out there, the paragraph and line number for that job was a 2-star. The job prior to that was the deputy director, which was a 1-star paragraph and line number. So bottom line is, I've done the work of the generals. I know how it works. If I'd have been the guy on the ground in Afghanistan, and if I got orders from the Pentagon, president, and said, this is what you're going to do, I'd have went, roger that, and told my people, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. I'm not giving up the biggest air base we've got in this country and going to the small one. I'm not doing that. You know, by the way, I'd have kept all of my air support and I'd have set up a perimeter, just like I talk about that fire. I would set perimeter up where we were at, getting people out. I'd have got equipment out. I'd have got all the Americans out first. I mean, there's a priority list. And we would have set up a perimeter, a fire perimeter, and let the folks come over the hill. Let them come over the hill and see what happens. They think Vietnam looked bad with napalm. What do you think Afghanistan's going to look like with napalm?
Big glass over there, wouldn't it?
It wouldn't have happened. I would have just said, no, I'm not doing that. And y'all can crucify me when I get back, but I am not letting all them people come in here wearing vests, suicide vests, carrying AK-47s, sitting up on the hill taking pot shots at my people. What did Trump tell them? What did Trump tell that one guy? Let me tell you what. You let one more of my soldiers be killed over here, and he gave him a picture of his house and his family and turned around and walked out. That was a message.
I do remember that.
Okay. Guess what? There was not one more drop of blood come out of any Americans after that until Biden took office. And then all broke loose. ISIS, the Taliban, everybody was back in the game. And so what he said the other day when he talked about Hamas and all them, he flat said it. He interrupted one guy that was trying to talk. He goes, let me tell everybody, listen to me. He goes, the day I swear in, if all the hostages are not released, hear me what I'm telling you, all hell's going to break loose in the Middle East.
And that's what I was saying earlier. He doesn't play that, man. You know, he's not going to keep giving up false lines, man.
So no, he ain't playing. And here's the other deal. They said, well, they've come up with this deal. Well, the reason they came up with the deal because of what he said, for one. Of course, Biden and his group's trying to take the credit for it. However, then they go, well, we've worked out a deal. We're going to, within 5 months, we'll have all the hostages released. They didn't hear what he said. He said, the day that I swear in, every hostage better be turned loose. That was the message. So if you want to work for 5 months, you're not listening to me, but you're going to hear me here very quickly. Sometimes I can show you better than I can tell you.
Mm-hmm. But I'm concerned, Vince, that a lot of them hostages that they're claiming they got are dead already.
410%.
They're not going to feed these people. And they, like I said, you said they were raping women and babies over there, killing them and stuff. They didn't, especially Americans, they claim it's 2 Americans. I guarantee you they were the first ones to go.
They were raping babies so hard. I talked to one of the people that was in the medical field over there at the VA in Dallas. The babies had been raped so hard that it broke their hips. You know how painful that was? And they were cutting off their legs and arms and throwing them in piles and burning them in front of their families. That is an animal. Let me tell you something, audience. Vince Crabb, am telling you, just like Pete said, the guy that's running for Secretary of Defense today, just like President Trump said, Hamas, you need to be dead. I'm not putting you in a camp. I'm not feeding you. I'm not giving you medical. Your medicals will be a 9mm in your forehead. You piece of shit. Look what you did to our people. You raped, you pillaged, you cut off legs and arms, you cut little babies' throats and watch them bleed out. You dirty.
Going back to what you were talking about, women soldiers. If a woman soldier seeing that, man, it would break them down so hard they wouldn't be able to. I think it would disable them from fighting, man. Seeing something like that.
People don't understand. The men get raped just like the women do, but we just don't want to talk about it. We're men. We don't talk about that. But prisoner of war gets raped like the women do, and but war is a very ugly animal, and things happen. But if you let these people continue and walk away, you will have to fight them another day, and that's just the way it is.
That happened a whole lot over Japan. They raped a lot of soldiers that they captured in Japan over there. Yeah. They did a lot of that.
Well, let's talk more about, like I said, Biden's legacy. So my take on from what you guys said is that y'all are not very pleased with Mr. Biden, and you pretty much are glad that he's leaving. Would y'all agree?
Well, I hope he gets out of there, but I mean, we're right around the corner from Trump taking office. I was worried that we were going to break out some kind of war or something like something, because I believe it's written that if we're at a war, he doesn't have to release office, man. And I was really worried about that. I was really worried about that. I was like, man, they're going to start something. And now Trump is doing a victory parade on Sunday right before inauguration. I don't think that's a good idea, man. They've already tried to hit him twice. Don't get out in public. Hey, here I am. Don't do that.
Well, go back to Biden. Bottom line is this. Biden hadn't been in the seat since he's been in the seat. Let's call it like it is.
He's been asleep.
His family knew he had mental issues. He served his country. He was a congressman. He was a Senate. He's a VP. He's a president. Time to go home, old man. Time to go home. And your cabinet, your family, your vice president, all of them knew. All of them knew your state of mind. And you had the code to the football. And for the audience that don't know what the football is, that's the thing that goes with the president everywhere he goes. He's got the code to start process of nuclear missiles. The president of our United States has got that. This man, he don't even know what piece of chicken to eat unless somebody tells him.
They probably let somebody carry it for him, Vince, even he wasn't even there.
And then you got these people standing up and doing a victory dance like he was the best we've ever had. Thank God for him. You people need to go to jail for what you've done. I mean, make no mistake about it. Mr. President, Mr. Biden, time to go home.
We hadn't had a chance to celebrate the victory, man, because we haven't been on here in a while. But man, when we won, dude. It wasn't a borderline. Did we win? Everybody in this country went, I don't care about this woke movement or abortion rights. He said, we're worried about food on our table and our bills and stuff. And they knew under Trump, we did a lot better. Yeah. Gas, everything, Trump has it right. Every time he says, once energy comes down, everything will go down. Because Bernie, in transportation, if you're paying $1.75 a gallon for diesel, guess what? The groceries ain't going to be that high. Man, it's $5 a gallon out here for diesel. When diesel doubles or over doubles, guess what? We're not going to haul that, man, for the same price as we were hauling it 4 years ago. We're not going to do that. We're not going. We can't. It's not feasible for us to do that.
Passed on to the consumer.
It's passed on to the consumer. Same thing with that strike that happened up on the East Coast. Kamala she saved it. She went in there and stopped it. She gave these guys 80%. Wasn't it 80% raise?
Yep.
Or something like that. Like, who do you think's going to pay for that? Money. Who do you think's going to pay for that? The consumer.
That's right.
The consumer paid for all the raises and everything. So no, we can't do that.
Well, fellas, look, I done had y'all on here for quite some time, and I know you got better things to do than sit around and jaw with me. But let me give you all an opportunity to speak to the folks and tell them exactly what's on your mind. And I tell you what, Shane, why don't you start first, and Vince, you bring us home. So, Shane, whatever you want to say to the people, this is your time.
Let Vince go first. I got to get my thoughts in a row, man.
Oh, my goodness.
I got up at 3 o'clock this morning with no sleep.
Oh, my God.
Hey, no whining, soldier. No whining, bub. Let me tell everybody out there, look, we've been around the block a couple of times, all three of us that's on this podcast today, where, we bring different skills to the table, we different mindsets, but it's a good thing. That's why we call ourselves Americans. Whether Trump's in there, Biden, Kamala, we're Americans and we're going to be okay. However, I'm certainly glad it happened the way it happened. President Trump will do the best he can in 4 years. I'm confident in that. We got to look at our military. We got to look at our borders. And we need to be Americans first. Stop this Democrat-Republican nonsense. We stand shoulder to shoulder from the hood all the way up into the $25 million houses. We stand shoulder to shoulder as Americans. We help each other. And if we will do that and stick together, we're going to come out smelling like a rose like we always do. And these nominations that we're going through right now, you got to trust the man. Some reason, some way, somehow, he is picking his team. I've been a commander. Bernie's been a commander. Shane's been a leader of his people. We do things for the right reason, or we try to. Okay, is it always going to be perfect? No. But we can adjust fire. We can make changes as needed. What I do know is Trump didn't hire a nuclear engineer that wears dresses and steals luggage from the airport. That guy was a nuclear engineer. Are you kidding me? Why would you do that? Anyway, let's go past that. Bottom line is we're about to start a new day. Everybody come together. Forget about your politics. Walk outside, shake the hands of your neighbors that you hadn't talked to in 10 years. Somebody's sick, why don't you go mow their yard for them? Hey, I'm going to run the grocery store. And what I'm saying is, by doing this, we're sticking together. We as a nation got to stick together. And I've mentioned this probably on some other podcast. Watch the movie Red Dawn. We are living a Red Dawn. The movie Red Dawn is what you need to watch. We're living it as we speak. That border's been open for a while now. If you think right now that we don't have cells of people, and everybody thinks when I say a cell, I'm talking about, the Taliban, ISIS, the triads, or the MS-13s. There's cells in our United States of America, meaning they're bad people, and they're coming. We're going to have to fight these people. I don't want to put them in prison. Either they go back to where they come from, or we kill them. Let's just say everybody went, well, you can't say that. Yeah, I can. They need to be dead, because that's immediate obedience training. But they need to stop, because if we don't stop these people, you come home and they're in your house, you're not going to be a happy camper. So we have to stick together and do this. And the law enforcement, the military, they're going to do the best they can, I hope. I hope they will. I truly believe President Trump is picking the people he's picking for a reason. We got to trust him. We voted him in. So now it's our turn to get behind him and take him to where he needs to be to get things done. And these nominations that they're going through, confirmations they got going on, the senators, are they idiots? We got the House. We got the Senate. I don't care what you talk about, Colonel Crabb, chasing dogs around the neighborhood. It doesn't matter. The Republicans are going to get them in there anyway, so knock your nonsense off. And if you want to look at my report card, just look at yours. I got one guy that was going after Pete for taking somebody to a strip club or something. They forget that he was caught years ago when I was at the Pentagon. He was caught coming out of a hotel room. His name was Kane, with a 9-year-old little boy. This little black fund, they call it up there, it's called the dark money. That's a fund that's not even counted by our Treasury Department, and they pay people off to go away. Nobody wants to talk about that stuff. They don't want to talk about the Democrats having sex at the Capitol in video and that. They don't want to talk about that. They'll certainly throw stones at the Republicans because they got the word Republican on it. Again, forget about Republicans, forget about Democrats. Let's be Americans and let's do the right thing. Let's stick together, get our America back on track. I've killed for the country. I've bled for the country. I love my country to death. And most people, well, may not most, but I like a lot of people in our country. But some of the people, if you don't like it, leave. Leave. If you don't like what America offers to you, I'm sure Iran, Iraq, Venezuela, there's a lot of those countries that would welcome you in. So get on. Matter of fact, I'd chip in for an air flight for you. But anyway, for you listeners out there, thank you. You got a good man here, Colonel Flowers. He's at the helm and he's doing his thing. And Marilyn, shame on you for not voting him in. And y'all did a bunch of that nastiness as usual. But he's still here. We're still here together. So Colonel Flowers, Texas truck driver Shane Hubbard. I've had fun today.
All right. Well, Shane, you want to bring us home?
Yeah, I'd like to start out saying, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and my Father in heaven, we gotta get back to God, man. This country was based, was built on, and God we trust, we got to get back to some morality and being, let's say, I'm a little nervous here, but we got to get back to being accountable for what we do. If you're not accountable, people walk around and they go, I do what I want to do. I do what I want to do. You can't do that. So I just, you asked me about Biden's legacy. I prayed for Biden that he would make good decisions. Well, he wasn't there to make good decisions and stuff. If he would have made good decisions, our country would have progressed in 4 years, instead of going down. Mm-hmm. I worry that Trump's going to make the right decisions now, but I pray for him. I don't pray for him to fail. I didn't pray for Biden to fail. We don't pray. We don't wish for somebody to fail, because when they fail, we fail. People just got to be more accountable for what they do these days. I love my country. I love people. I try to embrace people when I'm out here, but sometimes somebody needs an attitude check. Somebody get they hit that button, and I'm a Texas boy. It's gonna come, man. I've got a temper, but I could check somebody and then help them at the same time. You know what I mean? That's the kind of people that we are. You know, if I got to get on somebody's butt and they go, hey man, I'm sorry. Okay, well, let's figure another solution out here. But that we don't have that anymore. It's like, man, they get on a roll and they don't stop. Nobody. They get on a roll. They just keep going and going, and they try to tear people down instead of praying for them to do better.
I get it totally. I get it totally.
That's just it. You know, we've got to do better as a country, as a people, you know, because, man, I see immigrants come in this country and work hard. They keep their head down. They humble themselves. They do, man. They you know, of course, they're afraid of getting in trouble with the INS and stuff, man, but they don't cause no rift, man. They come in, they just work hard and do what they're supposed to do. And that's what we need to get back to. Just hard work, keep your head down, and keep everything moving.
There you go. Well, I appreciate that. And here's the bottom line is you guys are holding out on your end. I'm trying to hold down mine. And there's a whole lot of good Americans out there trying to do the right thing. And if we all pull together and put all this political stuff behind us, do what's right, our country will be much, much better off. So again,
Amen.
Gentlemen, I thank you for taking the time to tell the people what's on your mind, and I look forward to having you both on here in the very, very near future. So, folks, this is the Texas Truckers, and you're on the Loyal Opposition Podcast, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to spend time with these illustrious gentlemen. Y'all take care now.
All right, you have a good day, Bernie. You have a good day, Colonel. Don't get in no trouble down there in Texas.
I'll do the best I can.
Y'all be good now.
All right, Bernie.
Bye-bye. Well, that's about it for now. This has been the Loyal Opposition Podcast, produced in association with Fallback Productions and Veterans for America First. Please like, share, and subscribe as we try to grow the channel and protect America's middle class. Be sure to get your copy of my book, Black Values Matter, available as an ebook on Amazon, Audible, and Apple Books. And also, remember, it's okay to disagree. But if we want our country to prosper, we must insist on unity, transparency, and civility for ourselves and for our fellow citizens. Thanks for listening to the Loyal Opposition Podcast. We'll see you next week.